Welcome into the PFF NFL Daily. Merry Christmas, everybody. We're going live here on Christmas night. It's not exactly an instant reaction to Week 16, but it's a, quick reaction to Week 16. The full reaction, of course, from Sam and I will be tomorrow morning on the PFF NFL podcast. So, Sam, like we usually do on a Sunday night here, let's just get our initial takes on the Week 16 action. What stood out to you so far?
Well, let's start with the most recent stuff first, I guess. The Tampa Bay Bucks offense, at least at halftime, still stinks and can't get out of its own way to a remarkable degree. It's incredible how consistent they are at finding one guy on every given play to blow something that'll invalidate everything else that's going on. You go back to the game previously, Denver is in a very similar situation. The Russell Wilson, this was the low point, right, of that Russell Wilson Denver disaster of an offense all the way through this season. They couldn't get anything going. Russell Wilson kept trying to make the same hero play for the entirety of the game. Finally got the touchdown at the end, only after they were 40 points down or whatever. That thing is an absolute train wreck. And then obviously Green Bay becomes the NFC North team that's charging towards the playoffs. The Lions blew their shot yesterday with a loss to Carolina, but Green Bay keeps on stacking up wins, and Miami drops another one.
Well, let's build on that because I think Green Bay could not have had a better weekend. Every team that they needed to lose, Giants, Commanders, Seahawks, and Lions, the four teams that are ahead of them that are catchable in the wild card, they all lost. And then Green Bay comes out there, overcomes a 10-point deficit against Miami. Tua Tagovailoa starts throwing the ball to the defense. Credit the Packers for making those plays on the defensive side of the ball. They're hanging tough, man. And, again, it wasn't a perfect offensive performance for the Packers, but now the last 2 weeks, the defense finally showing signs of life, despite giving up some big plays against the Dolphins, but finally showing some signs of life against the Rams on Monday Night Football, this week against the Dolphins. Packers are now going to be the team everybody's talking about this week.
Yeah.
You don't want to play this Green Bay Packers team because they could still be a 6 or 7 seed in the playoffs.
It's already happening. I saw Rich Eisen. I'm sure there's a million other people, but Rich Eisen was the tweet that I saw of, don't let Aaron Rodgers get hot and get into the playoffs, guys. You don't want that to happen to you. They're now favored next week against the Minnesota Vikings. The 12-3 Minnesota Vikings are underdogs to the Green Bay Packers, who a couple of weeks ago looked like they had no shot whatsoever of making the playoffs. We were like, if they can just get one more loss, then Aaron Rodgers can go back on the shelf, sit the rest of the season out. We can see what we have in Jordan Love. All of a sudden, like they're favored against the team that's the number 2 seed in the NFC and have a very real shot of jumping their way back into the postseason.
Meanwhile, the Vikings find a way to do it again. Going to yesterday's action, they pull off the win, 27-24 against the Giants. We're running out of ways to say the Vikings do it again. They defy the odds. They were up 8 into the fourth quarter. It wasn't like they pulled this one completely out of nowhere, but they blow an 8-point lead, essentially. Giants get the 2-point conversion. It's tied up, and the Vikings quick drive down the field to get the game-winning 61-yard field goal.
It's not even that like they defy the odds. I don't even know what the odds are with the Vikings anymore. It's just nothing they do makes any kind of sense. Like the first 10 minutes of that game, it was like, Minnesota's going to walk this. It's going to be like a double-digit win. They're going to cruise away. The Giants were the frauds earlier in the season. The Vikings are just a better team. And then all of a sudden, it's like a really close game. It's a grind. Maybe they got to come from behind. The Giants actually might sneak this win, and then Minnesota gets up again. The Giants come back again, and then right at the end, you leave yourself with a 61-yarder. But even the last play, it kind of put them obviously to the 61-yard range, but like 61 yards that's not a kick a lot of people can even attempt, right? So it's right on the fringes of even a kicker like they have being able to take that shot, and they ended up going for it, make the kick. The 11th single one score victory they've had so far this season, which is an NFL record with 2 weeks still to go.
Vikings fans are really going to think we hate them because we're just sitting there saying we don't understand. We don't understand.
I'm not hating. I don't get it. I don't get any of it.
It's incredible. And look, Kirk Cousins continues to make some big plays under pressure. Justin Jefferson, uncoverable in those key situations. Another impressive comeback win or, go-ahead game-winning drive for the Vikings. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is my go-to when betting on the NFL this holiday season. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 on any NFL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Check it out. Right now, everyone can earn up to 100% boost with DraftKings stepped-up same-game parlays. You go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, place a same-game parlay, and combine multiple bets like which team will win, player props, point totals, and more. The more legs you add, the bigger the boost, the bigger your shot to win big. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code PFF. Place a $5 bet on any NFL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with the code PFF. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. I don't know how much this game's going to mean in the end, Sam, but the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys, one of the games of the week. The Cowboys win 40-34. An awesome back-and-forth game. Gardner Minshew fills in admirably for Jalen Hurts, but a couple mistakes in there as well. And the Cowboys, I mean, outside of an early pick six from Dak Prescott, they were carving up this Eagles secondary. How much do we take away from this when these teams eventually, likely, meet in the second round of the playoffs?
Yeah, weird game because I think both teams somehow emerge with credit. I think this was probably quite a big game for Dallas in terms of confidence, just understanding that they can beat Philadelphia, albeit, a Philadelphia team without Jalen Hurts, just for where they are this season, being kind of behind the Eagles the whole way, being thought of as a playoff team that needs to kind of show some credentials. I think it was a big game for them to come out and get that win. But for Philadelphia, even with Gardner Minshew, they probably should have won that game. I mean, it took a bunch of turnovers late that weren't like, they're not like the Tua interceptions, where Gardner Minshew just decided to become bad and start pitching the ball straight to the defense. Like 2 interceptions were Quez Watkins being really weak at the catch point and allowing a guy to basically take the ball away from him. Miles Sanders fumbling the ball away as well. Like they were sort of unforced errors on the skill position player side of things, as opposed to the quarterback making egregious mistakes. So they could and maybe should have won this game even with their backup quarterback. So I think for them, they'll be reasonably happy, or about as happy as you can be, losing to a division rival who's also looking to make the playoffs.
Second loss for the Eagles. Second time turnovers were a big part of the story. But the first time, I think you really saw a potential weakness on the defensive side of the ball. That a 3rd and 30 conversion and all that stuff. I mean, the Eagles defense had been just excellent for the most part this season. The craziest game of the weekend might be Cincinnati Bengals 22, Patriots 18. Bengals were up 22-0. Neither team could hit an extra point, but the Patriots come back with a pick 6 from Marcus Jones, who might be the most explosive player in the NFL. Whatever that tipped pass, half Hail Mary was that the Patriots got, to get within a score. And then after the Bengals fumble, the Bengals turn it over, the Patriots have a chance to go ahead, to take the go-ahead score with essentially no time left if they wanted. And Ramondre Stevenson fumbles. The Bengals hold on. Early in the game, it was like, hey, things have flipped. The Bengals are the championship caliber team, but they almost let the Patriots right back in it.
Yeah, like the first half went entirely to script. It's like the Patriots are not as good as the Bengals. The Bengals are better across the board. They have a better quarterback. They're just going to win the game. And it was pretty comfortable. And then the second half, all hell broke loose and all kinds of crazy plays started to happen. That like Hail Mary thing, it's so perfectly timed and almost choreographed. It almost looked deliberate. Like it wasn't. You can see on replay, it clearly isn't deliberate, but it's so close that you almost need replay to determine that it wasn't deliberate, to sort of pop it back into the waiting arms of Jacoby Myers, who for him, like it's almost a shame that it wasn't enough to end up being a real key play and a comeback, because obviously Myers was the guy that made the ridiculous game-losing play at the end of last week, that ridiculous lateral thing.
All right, a couple other notable games. The Carolina Panthers 37, the Lions 23. We mentioned for the Packers how the Lions were one of those teams that lost. This was probably one of the biggest surprises of the weekend. I mean, Carolina comes out, they rush for 320 yards every single time you look up. Huge, just massive hole in the Lions defense. The Lions were everybody's favorite, trending in the right direction. But I'll say this for Carolina, the NFC South is a disaster, but like this game might be one of the best games any NFC South team has played. And it's one game, but that could be dangerous if they beat the Bucs next week and get into the playoffs.
Carolina is absolutely alive for that division, which is crazy. The Panthers. There's so many weird data points surrounding running backs. Like the Panthers have been better since they traded away Christian McCaffrey. On the other hand, the 49ers haven't lost, I don't think, since they've traded for Christian McCaffrey. Like none of this makes any sense in terms of, except if you're drawing the conclusion that like a running back isn't really the thing that moves the needle across the board. It's other circumstance. But yeah, Carolina turning up, rushing for over 300 against a Detroit team that was playing very well. Even the defense was trending in the right direction, and they needed this, right? They needed to keep winning to have any hope of making the playoffs. It was a hugely surprising thing. Like their defense looked like it had never seen a run fit before.
All right, we can't cover everything here on our quick recap. We'll do that tomorrow morning. PFF NFL podcast, bright and early, 7 a.m. The other thing I just wanted to touch on, emotional comeback win for the Pittsburgh Steelers, 13-10 on the, Franco Harris weekend and, immaculate reception and the whole thing. We'll have the full breakdown, though, in the morning. But for now, it's the PFF NFL Daily.